Folks, well, I hope you're doing well. I want you to just something with me. We'll be speaking on loneliness tonight, so this will actually air after we've already spoken on this on our Wednesday night service, and I'm not going to touch upon everything, but something that I've been reading recently. It's called "The Body Keeps the Score." It's by an individual named Van der Kolk. He's an MD. He's a psychologist, and it's very interesting, kind of an interesting read. Takes a while to get through it, but one of the things that he brought out in his book, and this is all the way back to 2012, that there were over $1,526,000,000 spent on the drug Abilify, which is an antidepressant. Think about that. And that's just one of the numerous ones that were purchased during that time, or on the market at that time. Cymbalta was the third leading one, and I won't give you the figures. In this book, it said that Medicaid, this is back in 2008, this is the latest figures that they had, $3.6 billion was spent on antipsychotics medications. Think about that. And he also said that was up from 1.65 billion in 1999, and 500,000 children, he said, in the United States in 2008 were on some kind of antipsychotic. I just want you to think about that, because this is really quite a profound issue, that we have so many people that feel detached, perhaps are struggling. I'm not here to decide or to say that it's right or wrong to prescribe these medications. That's not the point. The point is that so many people today are obviously being affected mentally by the environment that they're living in, whether it be that which they were born into or that which occurred through trauma, whatever it may be. And the question is, what's God's answer for these things? Because nothing that the world produces is beyond God's care or his ability to heal the situation. This is the story of the Bible, that God intervenes and he delivers, that he provides, that he shows himself to be God in the midst of all of these elements. He turns the curse into a blessing, or what was meant for evil becomes good in Genesis 50 and verse 20. God knows how to do this. And how does a person like a Joseph, who's been abused by his brothers and literally left for dead, and then sold into slavery in Egypt, and never knowing, not even a concern as to what would happen to him, how does he turn that around in his life? And I think we very readily can see, just as we've quoted there in Genesis 50 and verse 20, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. As believers, something happens to us. We begin to see that God has had a profound impact in our life, and even the bad things God's allowed, so that it draws us to a place where we can see and know him. And that's not an easy pill to swallow for many people. They want to be vindicated. They want to have an answer. They want the wrong to be made right. But all of our wrongs, all of those aspects that the devil has brought into our culture through the sin of Adam, all of those are made right in Jesus Christ. That's why in Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 14 and on, he destroyed him who had power over death, that is the devil. All of those elements that he's layered into our culture, Jesus Christ has destroyed. He's the means by which these things that are meant to destroy us are actually, they become a blessing to us. I like what Paul says in 2 Timothy chapter 4, I believe it's verse 18. He talks about the fact that no one came to his aid. At first, when he first cried out, no one came to his aid. And he said in verse 15 of chapter 1, he said that all of Asia forsook him. But he said, that's okay. The Lord stood with me, and he delivered me. The beauty of our relationship to Christ is that we're never alone. And if we experience that by being totally isolated, then God himself will be there. And by the way, if we experience that by going through some of the trials that our society or our culture or our own experiences bring up to us, Christ will be there through the church. And that's what makes the church so special. That Christ will be there through the church. I encourage you today to think about someone that you can pray for, be kind to. Think about someone, let's begin in the church. Think about someone that's struggling, that you can either pray for, be kind to, send a card, give them a phone call, text them, let them know you're thinking and praying for them. It all begins with just the church caring for the church. Jesus said, look, if you guys can love one another, if you can be there for one another, if you can care for one another, if you can show the concern for each other that I've shown for you, then everyone will know that there's something unique about you. You're my disciples. There in John 13, 34, and 35. Let's be his disciples today. Till next time, friends, God bless you.